Move item 8.4, the middle school VEX robotics, to the next item on the agenda because we obviously have a lot of guests here this evening.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, you're up.
Do we need to use this?
It helps with the live stream, so it amplifies so that it carries through better there.
Well, thank you for having us. We brought two of our teams from the VEX Robotics tonight to talk about some of the successes this year. We've been running VEX Robotics for about 6 years now. And in those 6 years, we've had 4 state qualifiers, 2 of them from this year, both our teams here. Ashley Furniture has been just so instrumental with getting this off the ground, and they really do pay for most of our equipment and things that we need for the robots through grants. We have 4 middle school teams and 1 elementary team. Our middle school team, the work time, that's usually during, go ahead. It's during their focuses, lunch, target times, after school. They put in a lot of time, a lot of, dare I say, unsupervised time, because I have 3 rooms in there in the very back room. So I need to be able to trust these students, and they go back and do a wonderful job. Mrs. Rausch was our elementary team leader, and then this year, Mrs. Partlow came on. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Keller. Mr. Keller was our parent coach this year. He has a daughter on our 6th grade team. The equipment that we have right now, we have 4 sets of Gen 1 competition kits. We just purchased 2 sets of the Gen 2 kits through our grants. We have a couple big storage racks, some toolboxes. You can see the top part of the toolboxes we brought with today. We just used the DeWalt toolboxes. It works out well. We have a 6x8 challenge table that takes up a lot of space in the back room. And then we use 4 repurposed laptops from the tech department that the kids use to program their robots. So, like I said, we did have 4 teams out of the middle school this year. You can read the names on Team A. You see the 4770, that is the Black River Falls number, and then each one of our teams falls underneath there. Team A, Team D, and then our elementary team was called the Mighty Tigers. And then tonight you have the Eye of the Tiger team and the Slayer team. And I think this is where I'm going to let you guys take over.
Hi, my name is Keegan Autumn. I'm in 8th grade. My parents are Matt and Trudy Autumn.
My name is Preston Konecki. I'm in 8th grade. My parents are Leslie and Chris Konecki.
My name is Kellen Autumn. I'm in 7th grade, and my parents are Matt and Trudy Autumn.
They did have one other team member. He's also an 8th grader. What's that? Zayden Killian was the other 8th grade team member.
I'm Eleanor Keller. My parents are Patrick and Carly Keller. I'm in 6th grade.
My name is Pearl Dove. I'm in 6th grade, and my parent is Sarah Emerson. And we also have another team member, Hollis Todd, and that's also in 6th grade.
The benefits of the robotics in school is fostering STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math skills. The hands-on with the hands-on building of the robots, it helps figure out problem-solving skills with something didn't work, how do you fix it? this part broke, how do you what do you go to?
It also helps with life skills because the world is heading into a robotics generation or era. So knowing these skills could help with future because there's going to be a lot of jobs and places to go that will have robotics.
Go ahead.
Future of robotics in industries, automotive, aviation, space, gaming, AI, medicine, and more. Future experience, it'll help us have a better chance of getting an engineering career or something in technology based.
This year, in the beginning of the season, in September, we were going to Monday night lead.
Can you click on the first? Yep.
So this is what both of our teams started with, this bite robot there. And now obviously we have a lot changed from that. That is our field that we we play on, and how we get points during the game. And on that board, we do competitions, and sometimes we practice driving our robots on there, and sometimes we compete, or we work for each other. We work with each other for practice competitions almost, just so we can get a route of where we want to go. And also the blocks on there, the red blocks, they are the biggest of the blocks. They are worth 3 points, 5 points, if you knock them down off of the little stands they're on. And the purple are almost the medium-sized blocks, and the green are the smallest of the blocks. Both of the teams have been going for the green blocks because our robots are built they have a big enough opening for the intakes to bring the green blocks in. The purple blocks are a little bit too big, and I believe the purple blocks are 3 points if you put them in the goals at the corner. 1 point.
We have a little video, so you can use that too.
Okay, and the green blocks are also worth 1 point.
Yep. Explain what you just did there?
So our intakes, they
No, with the switching.
so there is a 1 minute time limit, and after 30 seconds, you have to switch with your partner. The bell rings at 25 seconds and 35 seconds, so you get a 10-second window to switch.
So why did you park your robot over by the square?
They parked their robot because that would be considered partial parking and worth 5 points. If you get your robot all the way into that, that'd be 10 points. but that'd be pretty tricky. You end up destroying your robot.
So, if it starts. Okay, so the first video you saw, that was league night. And these two teams went to league night, okay? And so the guy that you saw, his name's Christoph from Whitehall. He's just crazy about this. And he gets really excited about some of the stuff. This is at the regional, and they also hold it at Whitehall. We did have one competition here. I think we had 54 teams in the field house. So we did that a couple years ago while I was in surgery. But anyways, it's something that it's a lot of fun. It takes a lot of time to put together, but so we'll see how their robot operates. Anything about that? Or not?
Sure.
Go ahead.
The reason why we kept adding more to that one bucket is because if you get over that halfway mark in more than one, then that's bonus points. So we were trying to shoot for the extra points.
Okay.
So it might be a silly question, but the other robot on you were competing against them, right?
No.
See, I'm glad I asked. So that was one team?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were racing another team to see who could gather the most points out there. That's not what we're doing.
So,
You guys already all understand.
so when they go to a competition like this, they run 8 to 10 times with all the other teams. So then at the end of the competition, they look at the scores, and then they take the top 2 teams and they get to work together. 3 and 4 of them get to work together. So it kind of eliminates the bottom ones. So this was your last competition, and this is what got you first place. So they took first place.
Is there any size limit? Because I see that other one is so big.
The size limits are 18 by 18 by 20.
Talk about it. Show them on your robot.
All right, it's 18 high, right?
So, 11 inches wide, 18 inches tall, and 20 inches long.
When it's at its rest position, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
In a competition, your robot can go high as it can. Like, if this comes, like some robots have parts that come up and like dump back, but it cannot go over the length or the width. Can go unlimited height, but at the resting position it has to be 18 inches tall.
Did you ever have a problem with that?
No. Like with
I thought at regional you had to redo something. Or was it state?
it was state.
Oh, is it
So-
state?
Slight modification needed.
so our
Well, they have a template, and if that thing bumps at all,
So the problem that we had is that these flippers on the intakes were a little bit out of length. Then also we used to not have this stopper here for the bucket, because when we lifted the bucket up, it went out of dimensions, which counted for length and that stuff, like the length dimension. So we had to fix that, and we originally had this, but we decided to take it off because of the power on the bucket, and then we put it back on to help with the length dimension.
You want to just describe what happened at state? Well, you should talk about those little things up there. Your trophies.
Oh, right, yeah.
You can walk up there. That's not like no man's land.
Don't be shy.
And then face your audience.
Do you want to pick up? Why don't each of you grab one and then face this way, and we can get a picture, and you can talk to us.
There you go.
What a concept, huh?
Come here. Thanks, Jeff. Excellent, thank you. Okay, now tell us about them.
Go ahead.
All right. These two trophies are teamwork trophies that you get if you get first or second place in a competition. Yeah, those are. I'm off.
Eye of the Tiger, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So they got one from.
We got one from league, and then we got one from regionals.
We got the judges award at state. How we got this is when our robot was out of dimensions by a hair, like for width and length. We kept on going back and forth from our table where all our stuff was at, and then to the measurement table. And so it was by a hair. So one of the judges nominated us for this award because of that, and it was one of the head judges. And this is also the first state award that we got here, right? Yeah. So
It's kind of a
Award from state.
resiliency award where they just keep going.
One reason we got nominated is with the measurement, we spent 2 hours and 7 tries going back and forth. And the head judge says after 3 or 4 tries, teams would be in tears, and one team smashed their robot.
Persevere. Good for you, right? So something else for the board to understand, Mr. Keller had reached out asking about some fundraising possibilities because they wanted to find some jerseys, and so you look at how clever they are. If you turn around and show them the back, those are some community businesses that were generous enough to do some sponsorship. And as Mr. Stemper said, Ashley Furniture is overwhelmingly in our region to many districts. They're very generous because clearly this is the future of their work, right? And so they would love more people interested in this kind of work. So they're very generous to districts that are willing to sponsor this kind of work. And so many of our local businesses wanted to support the kids doing this work, and so they made some contributions to help offset the jerseys and some travel and all of that stuff. So.
I have a quick question. I'm really glad you had opportunities in elementary school and middle school. Can this continue in high
Well,
school?
we got. You guys are
Somebody-
stealing the next slide.
All right,
That's okay.
Sorry.
We don't have to talk a lot about this if you guys don't want to. I mean, I think you've kind of heard,
Yes.
and you should have seen them having fun there when, especially the girls, are going like this.
Yeah.
What did you want to talk about?
Next year, me, Keegan, and Zayden would like to do the high school bigger FXV5, but it's not technically a club, it's a class, and we want it to become a club.
We have a couple options there.
V5 is a bit different than what we do now. You're actually against the other team. So instead of it being a teamwork, you're working against the other team that you're on the board with to get more points than them.
Just talk about we have to wait. Let the girls talk. We have to wait to get the next chance.
Yeah, the next year's challenge comes out May 3rd during the World's competition in Texas. I think for Vex IQ, the next middle school challenge was rapid relay.
Oh, they already have it out?
They have
They revealed the name.
Oh, okay.
They have
But they
no-
don't give you, we can then buy the new board, we can order it in May then.
Are there other area schools to compete with that have the B5, like what you're talking about? That you'd be able to participate?
Whitehall does, and they put on
Yeah.
a high school competition. It's phenomenal. Well, who said that they, yeah, Casey said that he was at one of them, and it takes it from, well, when we started with Lego, first Lego League we used to do. And then we went up to the Vex, and that high school is up at this level. And actually, Ashley's got a team of kids there that the actual engineers from Ashley work with, and their budget's like $50,000.
So, with the next competition that we're working for, our team is going to start early this year and try to build a megabot almost. A megabot is basically a robot that is basically can do everything in the game. Cause our robot can only pick up the green blocks, dump out the green blocks, and knock down red blocks in partial park. But megabots in this game, they could pick up the purple blocks, green blocks, dump them out into separate goals, because when you get them into separate goals, you'll get more points for it. But if you mix them up in one goal, it'll cancel out some points. You'll get a uniform bonus if they're in separate goals. And they'll also be able to partial park, so they can do everything, and ours has a limited amount of it. So next year we're hoping we're going to try to start early enough so we can build one of those and probably get in a higher rank in Vex.
So here are your Ashley and your other local sponsors that donated toward the club this year. So equipment, the hoodies, we have a banner too, you probably saw it in the first pictures, food and treats. Okay, any questions for these guys?
So are you guys interested in automation or engineering as a career at all?
I am. I want to be a robotics or architectural engineer.
I would like to be an engineer of some sort. I'm not sure which one, though.
Too early to tell, right?
That's okay.
A robotics engineering career sounds fun. I'm not sure what position I'll do though.
Thank you so very much. I learned a lot.
And thanks, Mr. Stemper, as well, for coming, and Mr. Keller for all their work, letting these kids find this interest, right? You can make your trophies back, right? I didn't hear that. She'll leave this.
Thank you, Brian. All right. We got some more, I guess, guests now, soon-to-be guests, to thank tonight for their service. So first, we have Mary Jo Radcliffe. I'm gonna say kind words about all of you. We had to look this up. There's some big numbers here. So Mary Jo has 33 years of teaching experience and 12 years of board service, and today is her 45th birthday according to this. Has served also in the Educational Enrichment Fund and was instrumental in the TCO. So thank you so much for, I gotta add these up again, right? 45 years of service to our students here. Wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was thinking about that 45 years, and I thought, my goodness, I've spent over two-thirds of my life in education in Black River Falls. And I've always been proud of this district. I see the amazing things that go on. Wonderful community, wonderful staff, and I will be your cheerleader till the end but not a prize. But thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you. Next up is Mary Jo Rozmanowski. Mary Jo has a very long resume in education, but we've chosen to abbreviate it here. Has served 16 years on this board. Much of it is board president. I don't know how, is it 7 years as board president? Is that correct? I didn't have that number. Has served as on the CISA 4 board of directors. Has represented the district in the Wisconsin Association of School Boards Region 6 and served as president of the WSB.
Thank you, and I will also continue my work, and I just thank the district and especially Dr. Severson for supporting our leadership excellence always, and I think we should have a bell player. We can start one.
All right, Tom, you probably figured out you're the last one here. So, Tom Epps, 32 years of teaching, 3 years of board service, and continues to serve his district as the voice of a number of different sports here, including on WWIS. And I guess if you don't get enough of listening to Tom talk, there's also trivia at the Skyline on Thursday.
There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do. Thank you. Thank you.
I think we need a picture of all three. Well, you get to say some words. Then
I'm gonna save my words until the end, if you don't mind, because I have a lot to say.
All right.
All right, fair enough.
We want to get a picture
We
of all
can do
three.
that at the end as well,
Okay.
if that's okay.
And next, we will have the oath of office to our elected board members. So if our elected board members could come up.
Just one at a time to read it.
Remember to
I have done it one at a time.
We have, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. She's got a better picture for you, no worries.
I've got Michaela, you're on top, so you'll go first. And we'll take control of it. And if you would read the official oath of office, raise your right hand.
Okay. I, Michaela Campbell, have been elected or appointed to the office of school board member, but have not yet entered upon my duties thereof, swear in or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties set of office to the best of my ability.
Welcome to the board. Casey, I've got you next, so.
Yeah.
Okay. Raise your right hand and read the oath.
I, Casey Weiss, having been elected or appointed to the office of school board member, but not yet entered upon the duties thereof, swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
Welcome to the board.
Thanks.
Amy, raise your right hand.
I, Amy Blackdeer, have been elected or appointed to the office of school board member, but have not yet entered upon the duties thereof, swear or affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Wisconsin, and will faithfully discharge the duties of said office to the best of my ability.
Here, you can sign right here. Okay. If you would sign one there.
Just as a reminder to everyone, per state statute, they are sworn in tonight, but they do not take office, begin their service until the 4th Monday in April, which happens to be April 22nd. So for the next week, we've got a weird overlap, but then starting the 22nd, our new board members are seated.
Give it to Marty.
Yes.
That's Marty. And you've got yours already.
Thank you and welcome to the board. We're welcome next Monday. Next item is 6.2. We annually review our board member code of ethics. Policy 165. This was in your packet, so if there are any suggestions for changes to this, we will refer it to our policy subcommittee. Otherwise, we don't need any action on this. I'm seeing none. Pretty straightforward. All right, we'll continue to move on. 6.3 is the CISA annual meeting delegate. As in your packet, I am assuming Mary Jo Rozmanowski's seat for the remainder of her term, so I will be at that meeting on June 5th.
I make a motion for Brad to be the CISA annual delegate for Black River Falls School District.
Second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you everyone. All right, that is the end of the 6 series, 7 series. Focus on purpose, the Herb Cole Fellow, Jen Dahl.
Yes, I didn't invite Jen because she was just here a few months ago, but I just wanted to take a moment to highlight this. So if you've been down to the Joint State Convention in Milwaukee or see on the news all over the place, Herb Cole has been an amazing supporter of public education in the state of Wisconsin. And he runs a fellowship campaign each year that is for students to be recognized as well as staff members to be recognized. And it is an extensive application process. You need to be nominated by somebody else, but in order to accept that nomination, you have to agree to filling out a portfolio that you share with them. You need letters of recommendation. It is a very, very extensive process. And I would say once every 2 to 5 years, we have somebody who's nominated and follows through with the full nomination process. But it is less often than that we have somebody who has been selected. And Ms. Jen Dahl has been selected as a Cole Fellowship teacher for this school year. And I think that is exceptional. And those of you that know Jen know that she has been honored in many different ways. She just received another national award that was the Youth Art Month Coordinator, National Youth Art Month Coordinator for her advocacy. She is doing amazing things at our high school. And we are lucky that she has chosen to work with our students for the last 20 plus years. She took the leap to the high school a few years ago, as she shared with you, and it's just fun for her to have the kids on the opposite end from where she had them at the elementary level. So I just wanted to recognize her and thank her for her just excellent work that she does on behalf of our kids.
Well, everyone will have to thank Jen and congratulate her next time they see her. 7.2 employment recommendations. It's the annual reshuffling of every district in the state experiences.
And 2 more retirements came in recently. Chris Geyer, who has taught for us for many, many, many years at the early childhood level. She literally is the introduction to school for so many of our students and does a fantastic job at it. She really had a hard decision, and she finally decided that it was time for her to move on to her next adventure, so she will most definitely be missed. And Peggy Gordon tried to retire last year. We talked to her and said, "Hey, sure," and she agreed to another year with some modifications to her schedule, but she is ready to retire retire now. And so we actually are interviewing for her position tomorrow, so.
Alright, so we do need approval on that?
I move to accept the employment recommendations.
I second.
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We already, we will not have the student senate report due to a rescheduled track meet. Next, we'll see the early college credit program and Start College Now.
So there's been a couple different iterations of this program. It used to be course options. It used to be part-time open enrollment. It's been called a lot of different things. Actually, let's start with the other one first, and then we can work our way back here. So this is the newest iteration of how high school students can earn college credits while they are in high school. So we talk at the board table a lot about articulate transcripted classes, which those are the classes that our teachers are teaching the students while sitting in our high school, and the students are earning high school credit and post-secondary credit at the same time. These are a little bit different. These are classes that we don't offer at our high school that students can still apply to take, and the other document that was included in your packet breaks down a little bit of the cost of each one of those programs, who's responsible for what cost, as well as what rules are allowable. And so right now our high school counselors go through, and you'll see that last tab denied because it was a duplicate. So students are responsible for looking at the syllabus for the class at the post-secondary institute that they're interested in. I'm going to back up for a second. Our transcripted classes are primarily Western Technical College, with the exception of one, UW Green Bay. These really can be any post-secondary institute that students are interested in. So there's some four-year universities, there's some technical schools, CBTC, not just Western. And so they look at the syllabus, and they look at the syllabus of a course in Black River that similar name and see how much overlap there is. If there's overlap, we deny it because we're paying tuition for them to go someplace else to take a class that one of our teachers is licensed and prepared to teach. These students are the ones applying for all of those different places. So you can see the universities, you can see the name of the classes. I think this is an amazing opportunity for our high school students to, again, successfully complete some post-secondary credits. There's some school districts that really make a commitment to try, for those kids that are really career driven and have really landed on what they want to do for a career, to do 3 years of high school plus 1 college while they're still technically high school students. And that's hard for some people. They feel like we are failing in some way for kids don't want to stay here for 4 years. But if you think about the opportunities that kids have to gain those credits successfully while they're not having to pay for all that tuition themselves, it really gives those kids a significant leg up when they do start their post-secondary. And so we wanted to show you the wide variety of courses that students are applying to take, and the locations that they are taking them. Just wanted to remind you of the College Transfer Academy, that's what I can think of. Those are the spots that students full-time attend down at WTC. This year they're down in Toma. They still come back and can participate in our clubs and athletics if they want to, but they're full-time, not students in our high school. We have limited number of those spots just due to the cost of it. So, any questions or comments about the Start College Now? Those do need action by the board because you are supposed to approve any significant schedule changes from our course offerings that we provide.
So if the kids take those classes, we pay for them at a reduced rate from what, it's on the next one.
Yep.
It tells, and then what if they don't pass those classes? Do they reimburse us then?
So we have board policy that says if the student is not successful, they have to pay the district back. And so that is something that under the previous iteration of this course options, that was not allowable. Districts had to pay for all of it, period, end of story. There was no expectation of success. And this iteration allows for districts to put those stipulations in place. It does, the statute and DPI tells us how much the cost districts have to share with families, but it does allow us the flexibility that if they're unsuccessful, that we can charge them for that reimbursement for those credits. Any other questions or comments?
Lots of opportunity.
Lots of opportunity is exactly right. So when you think about the classroom, right, that has been expanded a great deal, because on top of this, there's lots of kids taking Wisconsin virtual school classes as well. So there's lots of opportunity for kids to find areas of interest.
Awesome.
So looking for approval on that one.
I make a motion to approve the courses presented for the students.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 8.3, Student Success Report, Act 20.
George Sullivan. So earlier this year, I talked a little bit about Act 20 and said, as we know more, I will report back. And so what I gave you is the gist of what we know more about, and then what I'll talk a little about is what we have done about it. So I'll be telling you some more things about that. So the first piece that we're going to be talking about is the screener. I won't read through this slide, but we'll see there's timelines, there's things that we can do with the screener, the reading screener. Good news is that we have a science of reading a line screener right now. It's Dibbles. So we know, but we have to now wait for the state, and the state is going to determine a screener. It may be Dibbles, but it will most likely be something similar to it. And we're hoping to have that information July 1st or as soon as possible so that we can firm up all these timelines and the work around what some of the later work will look like. So that's the news on the screener. So originally we were going to need to have all of our staff trained on this screener this fall, but there was an update, and now we need to use that screener until the middle of the year, which is tough practice, right? We want to screen students at the beginning of the year and work with them throughout the school year. So hopefully, well, what would be the best case scenario is that they choose Dibbles, which is what we have, but if not, we will work forward from there. I suspect it will be Dibbles or possibly Fastbridge, but that's my guess. So after we screen, we do this screener, and this is for 4K through 3rd grade, is what we're talking about here. We are going to be looking at students who are in the 25th percentile and below. So remember that 25th percentile isn't about percentages, it's about, if I, on average, I line up 100 kids, I take the kids that were 25th in line and below, and this isn't just in our district, but compared to the national average. So we'll be looking at those numbers. And then again, you're seeing some timelines. The good news is that we administer diagnostics. It doesn't say anything in the law that we're gonna be required to use a specific diagnostic at this time. They were hoping to have some sort of screen or diagnostic package, but I don't know where that exists, so we'll see what they come up with. And then what is new or what's different from what we do is that it talks about families must have the opportunity to complete a family history survey, so that'll be some additional information that we will have. And then we'll also just be working on these timelines, ensuring that we are doing it in that order. This is super exciting news. As of this week, everyone in our district has either had or is signed up for Science of Reading training. We've been using Barton Gillingham through IMZ. So it's a lot of people, it's been a heavy lift. So this is really good news for us. We're in a really good position compared to other districts. Our principals also are signed up, and they'll be participating in a similar training, plus this administration training this summer. So lots of good stuff there. So this next part is about the personal reading plans. And as you go, so any student who falls below that 25th percentile is going to need a plan that has these benchmarks in it. So the idea of addressing a specific area of need, all of these things right on down the line are things that we're doing. It's just going to be putting it all into a plan that we are able to communicate home. So one of the strategies, one of the bullets on there says strategies that parents are encouraged to use at home. So that's some work that we're doing currently right now. So forestry with the first graders right now, they've identified it's 39 words per minute that a first grader on average would need to be reading to be considered at grade level at the end of first grade. And they are currently, each week after they finish their story for the week, they have it on the top of the sheet that goes home, the goal of being able to read 39 words per minute, and it has that reading sheet right there for them. So I'm told from teachers at Forest Street that you can ask most first graders right now, or they said any first grader, so I'm sure there's one or two that wouldn't be able to do this. What is the goal? And they'll report back, you gotta read 39 words per minute. So Like, that is exciting stuff. If there's one skill that's super important in my belief system around education, it's ensuring that students are reading. And these are the steps that I think that we need to do to get there. So Act 20 is this big lift, but we have a lot of things in place, and we're just right now in a place where we're waiting for the state to kind of shore things up so that we can finalize our plans.
Before you go on, would you mind explaining to the board, liken this process to the Tiger Assistance Team, the TAP processes that are already happening at the elementary school? We probably don't go up to the 25th percentile, but would you explain a little bit what those teams look like? Because it very much
aligns with that work. So we have been we screen students, and we use that screener in the early grades, like K through 3, we are using that Science of Reading Aligned screener. And we look at, originally it was like 10th percentile below, and sometimes we're able to go 15th percentile and below for who we are working specifically with our interventionists. And so that helps us when we look at them, and then we have specific rules right now about how long we do an intervention with them. And then we look at whether or not they're making progress in that intervention. And if they're not making progress, we adjust the intervention. And if still with all of that, we're still seeing and having a concern, we have a TAC team meeting, and then we bring parents in and we talk about the things that's going on with that student, because sometimes there's information from the family that helps us put all the pieces together. So there's a lot of effort and energy that goes into these students in those that 15th percentile and below. But so our students that are in that 25th to 15th percentile are very specific in our target times with that group of students around the type of work that they're getting for that half hour to 40 minutes a day to ensure that they are making gains in reading and looking for that work. Or, the goal is to ensure that we're making all of those gains possible. So there's a lot of good infrastructure in place. When students are struggling to learn to read, sometimes it's not something that you fix in a year. Sometimes it takes time. And so we're looking for that progress over time and ensuring that we're doing all that we can for students that way. For reading and math, I do get caught up in reading. It's my passion, but we do it for both areas.
we keep talking about engaging parents in their child's academic progress. And when you look at a parent must sign and return the personal reading plan, we ask in our family survey, do you believe your child is at or above grade level? And we always have a lot of parents who tell us they believe their child is at or above grade level, when in reality they're not. And we've said those words to them and we share the iReady reports. I appreciate the clarity that comes with this, making sure that they're an active part of that team planning and creating the goals, all of that stuff, and giving them the number for the goals so they can monitor their child's progress, all of those things so that parents also feel equipped to partner in their child's success. So appreciate that part.
And then I switched, I don't usually do this, like do two topics, but I wanted to do a little plug. So the Heart Spirits Project, so if you're not familiar, last year there was a Heart Spirits Project that we worked predominantly at the high school. We did an art installation at the high school. This is the mission statement and just some information about missing and murdered Indigenous people. And it included a video that was created last year about the event. So I just wanted to make sure that everyone had all that information. And then on the next slide, this is just a slide that shares some of the activities that they've done this year. So this is separate. So we've been doing workshops, and many of you have participated in a workshop where you make a heart. So you would start by picking up one of those hearts that are made out of construction paper with the name of a person from Wisconsin who is considered murdered or missing. And you would make a heart with good intention in your heart in their honor. And so they've done these workshops at the Lunda Center Hub with the Tuesday Club, Interfaith, a Time for You program. I'm reading to you, I know that you can read, I apologize. We also presented at the Wisconsin Art Education, where they received that award, the James A. Schwalbach Award, which is for an outstanding community project involving the arts. And then last week, Friday, there were workshops at the high school, and we focused on a middle school group. So, and then we also had police officers who came in. And so it was a really great experience to be able to expand into that middle school, because we will be putting another art installation into the middle school
this year. And the big reveal on the next slide at that event will be at the May 2nd at the Heart Spirits Dinner at 5 o'clock. You are all invited. Please join us, where we will have the installation at the middle school. There will be a middle school, if you were at the event last year, we had a dress display where it's like you went on a walk. It was very solemn through the high school, and the voices of the murdered and missing went over the speaker, and there were images and the dresses with the names of the people who were murdered and missing. It was a very moving thing, and so we're trying to recreate that in a different way in the Glenda Theater, and we're going to have a dress display with some of that imagery. Barb Lecter-McKenzie, who is part of the group that does all this work, will be the speaker, and there will be heritage fair activities, which include things like Indigenous games, cooking. I'm not exactly sure what it all is going to entail, but there are going to be different activities following that presentation, and then a dinner. On May 3rd, you are also invited to a community Heart Spirits Run Walk. Registration is at the high school at noon. And the run walk starts at 12:30. It will start at the high school and progress downtown. We have been working with law enforcement to ensure that we have a safe walk. And then it's going to end with a lap around the track with an honor walk. That will have some of the statistics and some learning that can happen along with the names of the missing and murdered whole chunk individuals who are on that list. So that was my plug.
Do you need RSVPs for the dinner or just show up?
No, not right now. We do not need RSVP.
Last time they made enough for, they just, yep.
Any other questions?
A couple of questions on the reading thing real quick. Reading screen.
I should have paused.
Act 192, that just, so the 3 times a year testing is not going away, right? They're just delaying the fall one, is that correct? Okay. And then.
And we will still do a screen,
Okay,
right?
that was my next question. So we're still doing nibbles in the fall. Okay. All right. Those are my 2 questions on it. Thank you.
Our hope is that theirs aligns with ours, but we also still want to continue doing ours because they're only going to dictate K3, and we use our iReady and Dibbles 3-8. And so just because they're being directive pre-K3, we like the unity of being able to monitor kids as they move throughout the system and not have to change metrics when they go between 3rd and 4th grade.
So if they do change, are we planning on changing the whole thing?
Depends what they pick, because some of them are
better pick right.
expensive. Honestly, some of them are, cost will be an issue. And so,
Yeah, it's cost.
yeah, DPI has said July 1, they're gonna tell us it's challenging for districts because we have to sign a contract for iReady for next year. And so we pay for it, and then they might pick FastBridge, and that's another contract, right? So we're hopeful that they keep it moving forward, is what we're hoping. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and we already heard from the middle school VEX team. 9.1, monthly expenditures. Questions for Jill?
I did have one, Joe. Was the upper 90 energy one for the pool? Yes. Okay, yep. Need a motion?
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the monthly expenditures.
Second that. Further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. 4th Street Elementary, good news on flooring?
So we're talking about our open house, and Melanie, after talking to the teachers there, I heard you, Mary Jo, when you said that you'd like to do something this spring. And in talking to Melanie, they would love to do something in coordination with the great big fall open house where all families are out and about. She suggested that we could do some shuttling of staff, so the parking lot area is not as full. In the past, when we've talked to Hanson's, they've been very agreeable with staff parking over there, and we could shuttle, people can walk, whatever. Last time it happened to rain when we had people shuttling or walking, but They were hoping it would be okay to wait until the fall day when all families are gonna be out and about anyway, dropping off school supplies, and we could coordinate some events when there's already lots of enthusiasm for back to school. We could do it this spring, but there's just lots of weird things that happen in the spring, and to do just an isolated evening feels a little bit, I don't know if the kids would stay, all of that thing. So we were hoping that we could do it that day and invite the whole community on our normal back to school day, if that is agreeable to the board. As far as flooring, we're at a place, Myron and Bray, our two partners in the referendum work, are still hanging by our side. They tell us that it is good news that Nora, the company who made the flooring, they're telling us that it's good news that they are staying at the table and they want to continue to have conversations with us. They said they could have washed their hands of it. We sold you the product, not our fault how it was installed, and they could have left. They're not doing that because their reputation matters to them, and that's great. I told you last time that there was the product the first time with adhesive A and poor install that needed to be all tore out. Then there was new product, replacement product and adhesive B and really good install, and then gaps came. And so that all needs to be ripped out again. What they are suggesting is more expensive, and therefore they believe everything, I didn't mean to imply everything more expensive is better, but they have a method that they have more faith in that is some kind of a tape install, and it is an upcharge, and those three partners are all saying that they would figure out that upcharge and the cost would not come to the district. We've been very clear that the teachers really need to be able to be in the building by August 1. We said July 1, but the materials, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to get here. Kinder camp, when that has to be moved, it really misses its purpose, right? Kinder camp is to get to know the building and navigate what school's going to look like, and if that has to happen off-site, that is not the same. Right now, they are still, Nora is still arguing a little bit that they want to bring a certified installer and watch somebody install it with the old adhesive. And we said you did that last time, and so we're really not interested. There's one other school district who's having the same problem with the gapping, and then there's like 10 districts who are not having that problem. So all I can say is that is an ongoing conversation. We are confident we're going to get new flooring installed to our liking, and it won't cost us anything. It just is a slow moving process to figure out how that's going to happen. So it will all be ripped out yet again. We've talked about, is it better to go with squares or a sheet, just something to try to minimize. They also said that they would come in and do all one color, and we said it's for kindergarten and first grade, that wasn't the design. It's got bright colors in it. We want bright colors back, all of those things. So I will just say that Myron and Bray are handling a lot of it on our behalf, and we appreciate that because, I mean, the project has been wrapped up for quite some time, and we're still here talking about flooring. So.
Questions on that? Mostly good news about flooring, I would say.
It is.
And thank you for your persistence on that.
That project has taken way more of this district's time than specifically yours and Jill's than we hoped. But it'll all be worth it in the end, right?
That's right.
One more day.
One more time.
That's all we're hoping for.
On other updates, update on pool project.
So the pool was drained at the end of March. Took about 2 days to drain, 2 days to dry. We had Newman Pools come in. They dug out, so about in the middle of the pool, there was an expansion joint. They dug that, that was part of the project, one of the several items that we we're gonna have done. So they dug that tile out, dug that out, and resealed that. So that's done. ECM came in and they piped in the chemical generation, so our new chlorination system. So the guy was packing up today, I think, so that's done. They did open up the surge tank. They cut that open and they replaced a bunch of valves in there. There was an automatic fill float type sensor that needed to be replaced. That was done as well. Last week, the contractors walked, remember there's kind of like two phases of this project. So right now, with the pool stuff, the physical pool stuff, but then we have such a big lead time on the boiler air handler and the summer boiler for the pool, 40 weeks plus. So that is going to be a phase 2 of the project, and that will be done next April and May as well. So the solar array portion will be done this summer, and the sub-metering portion of the project has been basically done. All the meters are installed. They went through what they did. They went through all the kitchens and pretty much inventoried all of our equipment. They have our air handlers included on this as well, and we've already implemented some changes just from seeing some of the data. I should share a report. Kent shared the March data with me, which I hadn't seen. And so these total costs, I'll just get into on this sheet. So for example, at 4th Street, looking at all the different kinds of equipment that we have, these are all just kitchen type equipment. The coolers and the freezers, they run 24/7, right? So they're gonna be our more expensive piece of equipment running. The dishwasher at 4th Street, for example, is the next most expensive, $222.97. But the total cost for those 18 school days was $1,500 basically. So what our plan was, as we had talked about before, is transferring that cost to Fund 50, the food service fund, and giving some relief through Fund 10. And by doing that, that will help make our debt payment for the monies we just borrowed to do the whole pool project too. So, so that is just one example. I wanted to show this graph real quick. So this is like one day. This is March 28th, and it shows our peak demand is, of course, in the middle of the day when we have all our ovens going. We have this is at the high school. We have tech ed classes going. So we're talking about ways that we can, this top peak here, get it below 140. And, maybe the air handler doesn't come on at that time or whatever it is. So Kent's talking with Kim at the high school and looking at different class schedules and all of that to see what we can do there. Thought this was interesting to show too. Obviously these days that are the highest peaks so these are days of the month across the bottom. These days that have the highest peaks are school days. These are weekends. But this one was interesting because these are school day, school day, school day. This was a PD day, so we had less going on in the building, and then the weekend after that. So I just wanted to show you the kinds of data that we're going to be getting, and it's really kind of fun and interesting. So.
And just as a reminder to everyone, all of those costs that are from the food service area, we can transfer those costs from our Fund 10, which is our more flexible funds where we can allocate to different academic needs, transfer those to the food service account because now we have data that says the costs are being incurred through our nutrition services, therefore nutrition services can pay for it. And then we have more flexibility out of our Fund 10 budget, which is excellent. So that's really interesting. I hadn't seen the first month at 6,000. We wanted to believe them when they told us what it would be, but it's better to see it yourself. So great.
And it will help us do some more energy savings projects. And this doesn't even include the savings from the solar array either. So that's all I got.
Speaking of that though, Jill, I on weekends and nights may drive by Red Creek and know that it is so illuminated at night, and I just don't know if that needs to be done, if there's somebody in there at that time. I don't think so on weekends, but it just seems like that would be a savings if we didn't have so much.
Yeah, so much, right? Yeah, we need to have some security type lights on, right? But I know I sometimes see the grand staircase lights on or something like that. Yeah. It's something we need to talk about. Yep. That's all I got.
Anything more for Jill? Yeah, that's progress. What's the first day that the pool is scheduled to be used again?
So they had a target date of June 1st to be done, but they actually think they're going to start refilling it mid-May. So they're running a little bit ahead of schedule, so it's good. So we will have swim lessons, and we will have swim team in August. It's all going to happen.
And that was something that was really interesting. So our neighbors who also have swim pools started reaching out to our swim lesson teachers and said, hey, if you guys are going to need help for the summer to do your swim lessons, and our swim lesson teachers weren't didn't realize the pool project timeline, so they called and said, are we not gonna have a pool this summer? So it was nice that our neighbors were interested in helping right away, but we said, no need, the pool's planning on opening again, but nice to have neighbors.
All right, if there's nothing more on those, we're gonna talk about the community education and Fund 80.
Excellent. So I included for you, would you do the job description one first? So I think that was the second document. There you go. I wanted to start by sharing with all of you that the idea of a community education coordinator is not new. This is the job description that was approved in 2012. And it was a part-time position at that time. As I shared, this has been a role that has been in existence even before that. Sally Laubach, other people have done it over the years. So I just wanted to start with this idea of community education. This is an old board policy. It no longer is active because that role does not exist, but wanted to start from this idea. We have invested a ton in our facilities, and when I say we, I mean our greater community, and I believe that as much as we can open our doors for community to use our facilities, the better value that is to our community who are paying for all of this work. I also believe that the more community people see the schools as part of their life and enriching the work that they do, the more trust that is built, the more goodwill, the more faith, all of those things. And so the idea of education is power and education changes lives. Why can't we educate more than just our students during the day, right? So the idea of a community education coordinator is one of the allowable expenses under Fund 80. And so not to get too technical about the whole school finance thing, but Fund 80 is a community service levy, and DPI is very particular over what costs can come out of that. But that is the only levy that we can do without a referendum that is on top of our revenue cap. So we saw the video last month of the revenue limits, like this is the maximum amount of money that the district can use without a referendum or grants. Fund 80 is the board's choice without going to referendum. So the position, as we had talked about, could serve the community in many, many different ways and would help our community feel better, stronger connections and invested in the work of the district. So we could go back to the other form. When we think about a full-time position, Jill did some math for us that would talk about the salary and the benefits if the person were to take family health insurance. We don't know that. Supplies, postage, professional development, all of those things. So we come up with a grand total of $91,000. By using the formula that we use for the tax levy, that would be 7 cents per $100,000 on a home. So 7 cents per $7 per $100,000. So 7 cents per $1,000 of home ownership, or $7.17 per $100,000 of a home. So that is a position that we think could also help coordinate volunteers as people, our schools could be used during the summer for community education pieces, and they could be used evenings and weekends, but also could help with some of the coordination of volunteers, because again, I strongly believe the more people that spend time in our schools, they see the work being done and they gain a stronger connection to our youth, to the schools, to the work that is happening. So I think that there's a lot of goodwill and another way for us to serve our community by providing this space for a lot of these things to happen. Cooking classes, our welding labs, our classroom spaces, our pool, all of those things. And the position, I added for you, I don't know if you had a chance to look through it, but there was that link from River Falls. That person's job is to make connections in the community with people that have unique interests and schedule that out so that anybody in the community can locate a flower planting workshop when they're interested, or whatever unique thing it could be. So I wanted to talk with you about that and ask if you had questions, comments, thoughts.
When I read that brochure in River Falls, I thought, wow, I wish I lived there, because all of those opportunities. First I had the thoughts of, okay, 717 isn't that much, but I thought if we're considering doing an override referendum in the future and they added on with that, that might be a lot. But then I got to thinking about, a lot of people pay taxes and they don't have kids in the school. If they pay taxes and they can go to programs in the school, that's kind of a win. And I loved River Falls, that they had things for adults and for youth and whatnot. I thought that was really, really good. So I remember when we used to have that, I used to sign up for classes all the time. And they also connected them with other communities. So yeah, I could go to Sparta and take something, and all those offerings were listed in brochures that we got from Black River Falls. So it was a really good thing.
And another piece that I didn't mention when we were talking about that, because it was about classes, but right now there are a lot of different organizations who provide services to families and to youth, but there's not one collection point of all of that stuff. And so when somebody is new to town, they say, what do you have for summer offerings? And if you go to this organization, they have a week of this. If you go to this organization, they have this. So if that person works with our Chamber of Commerce and our other service organizations who also provide services to students and families, and because they are paid for by a community service levy, they are the ones charged with keeping that master calendar of all those things that happen, so that it's more of a unified effort to get the children and families connected to the services.
Well, in that River Falls one, they had churches activities and rec center activities. It was really good.
And certainly not duplicating what the
No,
Lunda Center
but
does,
it was just
but
right
could
there.
have a link to the Lunda Center, and here's what you can do with a membership there, right?
And that's the youth sports really
Oh, would you say?
struggle to recruit in this area. I've been involved with a few of them and we can't find coaches, and I had a conversation with a family just a couple of months ago, and they have been here for a couple of years now, and they didn't know about, I forget which sport it was now, but if you are not actively looking on Facebook using the correct terms, that's the only way to find some of these organizations, or specifically using the correct search terms in Google. There's a lot of local knowledge, but if you're new or new to the area, you know, or haven't been involved in those things before, it's kind of hard to know. Some of the larger organizations are a little easier to find, some of the smaller ones aren't, and I think this is a good way to kind of link those together and help everyone find an interest. And Western Technical College is one that used to do some of that stuff.
Yes.
In all of the communities that they had.
Adult classes.
Yep. And they quit doing that 6 or 8 years ago, I think. So.
I have a
So-
question.
Go ahead.
You go first, ladies first.
Thank you. So looking at the position, are you requiring them to have some formal education, associates, bachelor's?
We didn't talk about that, so I guess that would determine part of the salary part, right? If we're requiring education. I think who that person is going to be a lot more important than what training that person has, right? They have to be well connected and outgoing and organized and all of that stuff. So we haven't gotten that far because right now the board, we need approval from the board to take that step forward. So we haven't gotten that far, but certainly interested in people's thoughts on that. Yeah.
Okay, so my question is, so this person's gonna coordinate events and classes and stuff like that, like, but who's gonna teach the classes, cause more likely they're not gonna be, maybe they'll be good at this, but not this, you know, so how's that work out?
Sure, so the way that they do it in River Falls, and I saw them present at the Milwaukee convention, that's why I used their stuff. They know of people or talk to enough people who we're providing the space. So let's say you want to do well, you're a bad example because if you want to do an introductory welding, you could have people out there. Let's say Tom is really good at
Woodworking.
Woodworking, thank you. Tom could then use our woodworking lab, and we would have to figure out the liability insurance, and so there's other steps that have to happen. There would be a small fee for people to come to participate. We try to keep that as small as possible. Tom's not going to make a lot of money doing it, but would cover costs, right, to do that. So we would provide the space for Tom. This person doesn't have to teach the woodworking. I use like bike repair. I would say fall garden management,
Quilting.
Right? So what did you say?
Quilting.
Quilting, absolutely. Quilting circles. So we're really providing a space for people who have these unique interests. I also think of, if you've paid attention, the public library sometimes does in their program room, they will have like, for a while they've done like superfood, or they used to do it, because I can think of the person who did it, but like superfoods and healthy cooking. And so they provided a space for people to gather that's not like, come to my living room and let me talk to you about superfoods, right? So.
Yeah, like a person could put it on and then there might be a fee to take the class.
$5.
Correct.
Yeah, the library does, they do some like technology related ones from time to time, this is what I see now.
For sure. And we wouldn't be trying to stop them from doing that, we could advertise those as well.
I think we've got a lot of partners with the library, with the Wanda Center, you know, all the hub has something going on constantly.
So part of it is keeping a community calendar, and the other is offering those educational opportunities for people who have those unique interests that they want to grow. I would love an e-biking club to go biking with, right? Whatever.
We now do something similar with driver's education, where do we still offer that in our buildings and people pay for that?
So that's a little bit different because those individuals have a business, and so the samples here aren't necessarily, I have a business that I'm trying to profit from.
Okay.
So when we did offer driver's ed in our schools, they paid to rent the classroom per our schedule that's in board policy. So they would rent that classroom, and then they would have their courses there, and then they would do all their driving. So it was more of a facility use agreement there. I would say that we would love to have a few more people willing to do that, because we have so many families that just can't find driver's ed right now. So they're having more and more having to take it online. And
So do we have driver's ed in our schools still?
Yes, we do.
so not district sponsored, I just want to be really
Yeah, I
clear,
know.
but we have somebody renting our space right now and doing it. Okay. Other questions or comments about that? Yeah.
So this policy was approved September 17, 2012, 13 years ago, 12 years ago.
Yeah.
So this position used to exist.
Yes, it did.
Where is that person?
Well, through budget reductions or other things that have happened, it has no longer, it was eliminated years ago. My point in sharing this was simply to demonstrate that this isn't a new idea, that this is something that a lot of communities are doing in an effort to serve their communities in a different way.
No, I like it. We need 5 of those.
The other thing, so any other questions about this? The other thing that I do want to talk about when we're talking about Fund 80 discussion is I want to bring back around that idea of a school-sponsored daycare center. So a few months ago, we asked the board if we had general approval to continue to engage in those conversations. Jill and I have been doing some homework with other districts who provide that. We believe that we're at the point we want to talk about it again when we have our business partner luncheon, which is coming up in a few weeks. We want to talk to our business partners again to see if that is something that they will also support. And then we need to go do some site visits of what other school programs look like. I will tell you that there are neighbors of ours who are using this as a recruitment tool, that they have before and after school care, and families are open enrolling to them because the parents don't have to worry about that jockeying. We have the opportunity with the Gebhardt facility this spring. We're going to do a walkthrough and see what spaces we have available and what modifications would need to be made to that main hallway in order to be able to even consider that. I still think the playground is something that needs some attention. I think I shared last month, but I just want to keep talking about this. Neighboring district, Arcadia, they said the first year their Fund 80 levy was about $150,000 in order to supplement the launch of their district daycare. By the second year, it was down to like $80,000. They're in year 4 now, and he thinks they're going to about break even. So it is not a forever intention, but something to help launch. As we all know, the daycare business is difficult to find staff members, to be able to pay staff members a living wage to do that work. So I just wanted to keep talking about that as well, because that is another Fund 80 potential piece, but we would like to engage more community in that conversation first. The Child Care Task Force has a communication tool with all of the current providers, those both certified and not. And so once we take a few more steps forward, we have our new board members in place, and we again know if the collective will of the board members is to continue down this pathway, then we will start sending some communication to those current providers and invite them to a conversation so that they get all of their questions answered, because we are certainly not trying to take business from anyone. Our understanding is that there's far, far, far greater need than there is slots available. So we are not trying to compete with anyone. We're trying to, again, it's another way that we could serve our community. So do you have questions, comments, or thoughts about that project? We'll take no action until the board continues to follow and support through your votes. Again, Fund 80 levy is set at our annual meeting in October, which means that there would be no definitive, here's when our budget, our levy is set, and so that's when the Fund 80 would happen. You can vote, the board could vote to approve a Fund 80 levy prior to that annual meeting, but then we are communicating to the community that the budget hearing that happens at that annual meeting is not going to have any bearing on your ultimate vote because you voted and decided before that budget hearing, and so that feels disingenuous. So it feels to me that that annual meeting is the first opportunity to start that levy, and so that means to actually start serving families in a childcare setting, January-ish would probably be about as early as we'd be able to do that. But if there needs to be modifications to the building, all of that. So again, we're ready to start baby stepping, but we want to make sure we're bringing the board along with your approval each step so that we don't go too far down this path and then we get a significant left turn at the end. Questions about that? Okay, that's all I have on that.
All right. Moving on then, we are up to 9.5, our CISA contract.
So CISA, our Cooperative Education Services Agency, they assist us with many, many, many professional development opportunities and networking opportunities. I'm part of a professional group of superintendents. Dr. Sullivan is part of the curriculum directors. Angie Tampe is part of the special education directors, right? It is that opportunity for all 26 districts within our CISA to collaborate on a regular basis. The other thing that they serve is, as we've been overhauling so much of this curriculum work, they have sent consultants to us and working with teams of our teachers. They're working closely with science this year. We've had a lot of work with math and our standards-based grading from previous years. They help to facilitate that. The piece that they do that we rely on very heavily is those really unique services for our students with disabilities that we could never employ a full-time person, but we need somebody with that specialty, like audiology. We have a few hearing impaired students, and so the cost of audiology goes up or down depending on our student enrollment. We really don't have much cost over that. We have a physical therapist that is our employee, but we contract for occupational therapy because that is something that is called opposite. Sorry, we have an occupational therapy. We contract with them for physical therapy. Thank you. Thank you. So those expenses, the special education expenses, you will see that they really escalate very quickly, and those are really quite outside of our control.
So how does this contract work? I feel like you've told me this before.
That's okay.
When, so we have hearing impaired students, but we have another hearing impaired student, we're able to modify this mid-year with no issues.
And so we were just talking about this, that they get to know our students because they tell us visual impairment. So there's a student at the middle school who's visually impaired who's transitioning to 9th grade next year. CISA came and did a walkthrough of the high school to help us identify what needed to happen in the hallways to make sure that student was set up for success next year. They know that student really well. They work with the IEP team to discuss how often and how many minutes they need. So we buy units is what we end up buying. There are times throughout the year, like next fall, another student moves in that maybe has some significant visual needs. we purchase more units. If our student moves, CISA is very willing because invariably if vision goes down, something else goes up, and so they allow for that. They contract with all of their employees based on the units that all of their 26 districts purchase. So this is that first opportunity to try for them to be able to get their staffing right. And then in the fall, there's always a shoring up based off of actual student splits and seats. Any questions about any of the services that are purchased or?
I make a motion to move the CISA contract as presented for the next year forward.
Second?
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Meeting minutes, we have it was 2 months worth of minutes in the board packet. Is that?
Yes, special meeting last month.
4/4 and 4/18. Any corrections to those minutes? Otherwise, looking for approval.
I move to accept the minutes as presented for both 4/4 and 4/18.
3/18.
3/18. The file says 4/18, just so you know.
Sorry.
10.2 says.
It says March 18th, 2024.
Yeah,
Sorry about that.
Yep. So 3/18 and 4/4.
Yes.
Second?
Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All right, district admin report.
All right, while we celebrated Miss Dahl before, we also need to send some congratulations to Connie Sieber. Not only does she pack you your wonderful snacks, but she also is being recognized. She said it was coming out this week, so I don't think she'll care if I announce it. But she has been named
on Facebook.
Oh, okay. Well, if it's Facebook official, then we're okay. All right. From her school nutrition association, she has been named the director of the year for the state of Wisconsin. So if you think there are over 400 districts in the state of Wisconsin, not all have their own nutrition services director, but she was recently nominated as the director of the year for the state of Wisconsin. So congratulations to her. She definitely deserves it. She's such a strong advocate for kids. So that's fantastic. I wanted to remind the board, if you did not see the announcement, that the spring banquet, the planning committee decided they wanted to move it back to Castle Hill. The group that gathered to be a part of the planning committee, I always say when we send an invite to anybody who wants to help plan, whoever chooses to come to the table, their voice counts, right? Because they're the ones that chose to come, and they said they would rather go to Castle Hill as opposed to the event at the park. So that is May 8th. If you are interested, please RSVP to Marty. And then just an update for the rest of the board. The 3 involved in the scoreboard are already aware we had the 8 advertising spots to sell for the new scoreboard. It's a $10,000 advertising fee for 10 years, and we have 7 out of the 8 sold, which is incredibly exciting. So that means the scoreboard has been ordered, and we'll start working with Kent on some of those other projects. So just for everyone's information, we have Gross Motors, we have Northern Family Farms, we have Nick's Welding and Fabricating, we have Black River Memorial Hospital, Security Financial Bank, Co-op Credit Union, and Black River Country Banks. We have 1 spot left to sell. So we'll be certainly honoring and recognizing those generous partners as we move forward, but wanted you to know we're really close. Letters are just going out to former Tiger alum for their individual donations as well. And that's all that I have.
WSB or other? All right, any conference or workshop attendance? A slow time of year for that. School connection opportunities, there will be numerous connection opportunities coming up here very soon.
Well, but a few of us judged at the history fair at Red Creek, and that was really fun. The boards were so well done this year, and the kids were very well prepared. They were very good.
Excellent.
Difficult to narrow it down.
Difficult to narrow it down, yes. They were good, yes, they were.
And then finally, future agenda item identification.
I wouldn't mind talking about the homogeneous grouping again we talked about a few months ago.
Yep.
Talk about what, Nick? I'm sorry.
Homogeneous grouping. It's a big word.
Sorry. Yeah. I think we're in-laws.
Anything else? All right, Tom?
Could I have a,
I was
could I have
just
a
gonna
moment?
say, Tom?
Do you have a poem? I do not have a poem. I do not have a poem. But I just want to say, you know, I've been humbled to serve on this board, and I thank the electors of the community of the Black River Falls School District that voted me on, and hopefully I've done my best to serve the school district and also community members. I want to thank both Mary Jo's for your time on the board. I mean, I serve such a small, minute amount of time compared to you, but hats off to you for your dedication to this school district and the school board. Speaking of Connie Sieber, I want to thank the food service for the delicious lunches that we've been provided these last three years for myself. And I also want to say to the parents of the school district, you know, you have been given a great responsibility in raising your child, and it's not always easy to do. And I know there's been talk about parents getting involved in the schools. I would say not necessarily in the schools, but at home. You have an opportunity to raise a great child in a great district, but there are some things that you need to do, and that would be to follow through. Education is power, knowledge is power, and to get that you have to be in school. So I know one issue that we have here is you know, absenteeism and tardies. It's time that you know, you make sure that you get your child to school. You can check their homework. There's obviously many ways in which you can do that, from the grade school to check the backpack, read to your child, have them read to you. And there's just so many responsibilities, and I know it's not always easy, but as I said, knowledge is power, and getting them to school. And another thing that I want to just touch on is make sure that your child shows respect for fellow classmates, for those in the schools, the administration, the teachers, and board members. It's so lacking today. And I know I'm speaking to the choir for some of the people, but I just believe this district, as they say, it takes a community. And for this district to move forward, we need that aspect of respect. And again, thank you for the opportunity to serve on this board. Thank you.
And with that, Tom, I feel like you should make one more motion here.
I move that we adjourn.
And then I'll let the Mary Jo's arm wrestle for the
Well, second, and
co-second.
Mary Jo squared.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're adjourned. Thank you.
Opposed.
Perhaps if we could have had